it somewhere because not everybody. I mean, last time I checked, the money's not growing out there on these trees. Now they say it does. We thought as kids. Your boys probably think it does. I mean, but do y'all have a budget? I mean, how do you sit and choose which tournaments you go to?
Well, actually, years ago, when we decided that they did want to compete, there was no pressure for them to compete. But when we could see or foresee that this was something they were going to want to do, we just kind of set our life up so that we could manage, our home. When you want to upgrade, or we just kind of could foresee it. And
that's code for we didn't buy a $500,000 home and 2 Mercedes.
Yeah. That's code for that. But that's, I mean, but and I hear the word and it's just thrown around as a sacrifice. It's not really a sacrifice, is it?
It's just shifting where you're spending your time and your resources. I mean, I do remember the first tournament when it was like, at 7, the parent has to caddy.
How was that? Well, seriously, you
in
weren't
a 3-day
golfer.
tournament,
yeah.
I felt like I had been
we know you
dragged
physically could do it.
An 18-wheeler after the end of the tournament. Not because of the golf. It's just an uncharted territory, and I stepped on the first tee, and of course the others were dads, right? The other caddies were dads.
Right.
Like, ready.
Well, you're a cute mom, so I'm sure they love that.
Well, I just announced on the first tee, look, this is going to be his deal. If he does something wrong or breaks a rule or something, just let me know, or let him know, actually.
And for the listeners out there, our son's 8, 7, right?
Yes, at the time he's 7 or 8. So this was his first tournament. I didn't know.
He didn't either.
He didn't either, but he was ready, or he thought he was ready, and it was fine. But VJ just told me the 3 things to tell him.
What were those? I want to hear that.
Ask what the target is.
Okay.
And make sure it's something that makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. Even to somebody that's not a golfer, right?
Sure.
The general direction, the tree or whatever. And if it was way off, which it wasn't this first tournament, luckily, try to convince him of another target. And then let him pick his clubs, let him line himself up. Because I remember VJ saying, eventually he's going to have to line himself up. He's going to have to figure that out. So it was just like, pick your target and let's go.
Did you hear that, folks? Let him do it himself. That's maybe something they might learn by making those mistakes, but giving them a little bit of instruction, giving them a guideline, give them a guide, let them go. Because I think I've watched it, and I could be guilty of it, a little overcoaching.
Oh, it's so easy. It's so easy. Even if you don't really know, even if you're not a golfer as a parent, because you're standing back watching them, you feel like self-sabotage instead of switching your thinking and saying they're really learning.
Sissy said something to me years ago. She said that she was a teenager, and she said something to her dad, said something to Ed about, hey, I might not want you. You make me nervous down the cart path. You make me nervous watching, right? And Sissy, Ed, her father, told her, well, you better get over that because I'm going to watch every shot you ever hit. And, a lot of times parents and athletes, when it comes to expense, the kid will kind of say, well, I like being with mom, or I like being with dad. It's like, okay, good. But we got to divide and conquer here. Mom and dad, every mom and dad out there are busy, and they're doing a lot of different things. And so when it comes to junior golf, I think it's a really bad model to follow for one to do it all the time. Mm-hmm. As far as like taking the kid to the tournament or providing for the kid or caddying for the kid. Allison, how many bags have you been on that have won state juniors?
I have lots of state.
So
titles.
She's actually a better caddy than you. Sounds like.
I have more titles.
She's actually a way better caddy than you.
You heard that on podcast 5. Allison's a better caddy than VJ. Although you did actually get your son to the semifinals of the USAM here in 2019.
That might trump others, but
if she would have won the bag.
But if it wasn't for you at the beginning, and I think that's important. It's the same with my mom, and we're teasing here, but I think it's important. I mean, someone's got to be there at the beginning. So now